Morse code stuff. And as a matter of fact, I made landings on the islands. I was not armed with a gun. I went in to establish ship-to-shore communications. I mean, I had a thing that looked like a gun, but it had a barrel about that big around and about yo long, and it was a light. And you pull the trigger, and it boop, 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 sent Morse code. And I would go into the landing with the guys fighting the war, and I would set up this communication with the ship, if there needed to be any, so that it would be directed straight at the ship and not so the Japanese couldn't pick it up from sideways someplace or up above or anywhere. But yeah, and then I was at Sampson, New York with it. I got that training there, and they sent me out here to someplace in California. And then they put me on then they sent me to the ship, and we went out. And I thought, boy, this is really, water was about like this floor, it was as smooth as silk. And we hit the sack that night, and all of a sudden I noticed, and I had 3 days I hung over the back of that ship.
Oh dear.
I got seasick. Wow, did I get seasick. And what can you do? The ship is rocking and rolling and like this, and the waves are coming up and about, and there was no place to run. And I tried to find a place on the ship where I wasn't rocking and rolling. There wasn't no such thing. But see, our fuller was, to put you in perspective, our fuller was 500 feet long. It was a big ship. That's 1 2/3 football fields. And boy, that thing when it hit waves, it really bounced and went way up and down, and then it rolled. And
oh gosh.
Anyway.
I think everybody would get seasick. What was daily life like on that ship?
On the ship? Well, they kept us busy. They wanted you to, they didn't want you to get bored. And if anything at all. Fortunately, I didn't have to scrub the deck because they had deckhands that do that. But I was up on the signal bridge, which was the very top level of the ship. And we had up there a little thing about as big as this table, which was enclosed. And I felt I should get a Purple Heart because it was raining, and I went to go in there, and I slipped and fell, and I
Cut your leg.
I put a big gash on my shin down there, and I said to the chief, I said, "Can I get a Purple Heart?"
A wound is a wound.
Not blood.
But he didn't take that really good. But we kept busy training. We would, when we were not in any enemy territory or anything, when we were moving from one place to another, we would, there was a whole gang of signalmen. I don't remember how many, a dozen or 15 or so of us. And we were working towards getting a higher petty officer rating. And they put us up in we'd go up in the bow of the ship up here, signal bridges in the middle of the ship up here, and looking down, and they would do semaphore and Morse code and that stuff, and we would have to, it was a practice session type thing. So we kept busy doing that, but then we, kind of like here, we ate 3 meals a day, and I guess we didn't nap as much, though, did we?
Darn. One of the best things of a day, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
That's what I always say.
But we listened to music. Some of the guys had the radios and records, and they played, had poker games going all the time. The time went by pretty rapidly, you know.
How long were you on the ship?
Geez, I don't know, it must have been, see, I went out probably just about 1.5 years. And if you want to know what it's like to get up every morning and come, we were down, we slept down in the hole, and come up the ladder, you didn't call them steps, came up the ladder, and look out, and every day all you saw was water. Water, as far as you could see, out in that Pacific Ocean. That's one big ocean.
It is.
It's one big ocean. But, yeah, anyway.
Did you ever make any close friends while you were in there?
Oh, gosh, yes. Oh, yeah, we had buddies. John Athanasius Blesses. John Athanasius Blesses. He was my buddy. He was in signal school with me, and he got transferred, excuse me, the same way, and got put on board that ship with me, and we spent liberties together, and yeah, we got very close. As a matter of fact, he came to see us once, in Illinois, but he was a Greek boy, and a great guy. John Athanasius Blesses. Can you believe that? What a name.
What a name.
I don't know why I remember that. I can't remember Betty's name. But isn't that a beautiful sound?
Yes, it
John
is.
Athanasius Blesses.
Imagine he had to write that at the edge of his paper.
Yeah.
And the teacher to record it.
Yeah.
Did you ever stay in touch with your family while you were?
Did everyone?
Did you stay in touch with your family, like your mother?
Yeah. Yeah, we had letters. We wrote letters back and forth. Yeah. Hadn't thought about that, but we did, you know.
Were they really?
And she would send us cookies or stuff like that, and the box would be all smashed up, and the cookies would be all smashed up. But we picked up mail when we had stops over at various islands.
Did you miss her, or did you ever get really homesick?
Did I what?
Did you ever get really homesick?
I never did.
Never did.
No. No, I really didn't. There was one night I got homesick. They sent me back, and I had to. I was thinking it was time for me to get out of the dadgum Navy and go back home. And I didn't have quite enough points, and so they reassigned me to another ship. And that night, I remember I was down in St. Louis at Lambert Air Force Base, and I got homesick. I didn't know a soul there.
Oh.
And as one of our granddaughters said, I was crying and crying.
Grinding and grinding.
Yeah, crying and crying. What do you do without granddaughters? I don't know.
What do you consider the hardest part of your job? What was the hardest part of your work?
In the Navy?
Yes.
I don't know. Maybe my battle station was right next to 2 twin 40mm anti-aircraft guns. They were great barrels about this big. Boom, 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 boom. They'd shoot like that. Boom, boom. station was right next to him, and I would feed ammunition to the guys shooting, and it blew my ears out. And I now have that, and I have this one is broken.
He's been yelling
being
for a
repaired.
week.
Oh, has he?
You notice?
But this piece of machinery right there was paid for by the Veterans Affairs. They own my hearing aids, and I get new ones every
When you need 'em.
5 years or so. Yeah. But I think being right there in that plot. No, the hardest part was going. Yeah, I remember the most scared I ever got. I was really scared. The ship had a bow like this, and I was in the lower level of the bow to sleep, along with a batch of other guys. And my bunk was right here, and right next to it was the bulkhead or the wall. And we were going through a particularly highly laid minefield. And I just knew that we were going to hit one of those mines that very night. And that mine would have hit right there, and I was right here. You know, I just figured this was it. I didn't think we'd make it. Because the mines were just going off all over the place. And we had mine sweepers, which were small ships that came along in our fleet. And they would seek out these mines which were under the water that the Japanese had laid and blow them up. But they didn't get them all. And so I just figured, I think that was the most scared I ever was.
I can imagine.
I just figured that this is it. See ya.
Were you ever hit? Was your ship ever hit by one of those?
No, we weren't. No. I worried unnecessarily.
You
Yeah.
had a whale hit once, though, didn't you?
Oh, a whale hit us, yeah. Whale hit us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw a whale coming across our bow from way up in front. I said, my God, that thing's he's going to run right into it. That'll knock our ship silly. Didn't even make a dent. And then I'm sure the whale was dead. And he slammed right into the side of our ship.
Oh,
Can you imagine that? Don't cluck.
Wow.
You said it was a huge ship. It's hard to miss.
Yeah.
Yes, 500 feet long. Yeah, dang, I wish I had that picture.
I do too, I'm so sorry.
Because
Let's
it's,
go somewhere.
yeah.
Were you ever in any combat? Because you said you would feed the ammunition.
Yeah, just a little bit, not very much. I spent a whole year doing nothing, being in college for this officer training thing. And I just figured that kept me out of, it saved my life, probably. Yeah, our ship was hit with a bomb, but I wasn't on it at that time. And, but they came back into Oakland, California, dry dock, and rebuilt the ship.
What did you hear about the enemy, like the Nazis or the Japanese?
What did I hear about them?
Yeah, at that time.
Well, you know, back then we heard nothing but hate.
Yeah.
We picked up, see, our ship was designed to haul soldiers and make landings. And we picked up at one point, right after the war, right after the bomb had been dropped in Japan, we picked up a load of Chinese soldiers down in French Indochina, which is now Vietnam. And we took them up to the northern China, where they were going to be up there to keep the peace. And in order to take them into the pier to unload the bay that this was located in, it was a town called Qingwang Tao. How do I remember that? I don't know. But we took that ship in there. We had to have a Japanese, why? I don't know. A Japanese guide came on board to keep us from hitting various low spots in the harbor. Well, they had to surround that guy with a whole raft of guards because all of us wanted to kill him. We wanted to grab them and choke them because we hated the Japanese.
They're built in.
It's really dumb to feel that way, but when you're like when Danny was dead, killed. Excuse me.
Take your time.
There's no rush.
Excuse me. It really stirs you up,
It's totally fine.
makes you mad. Sorry.
It's okay.
Mommy knows I cry easily.
You're crying again. It's okay.
I still
You deserve it.
I still miss him. You just couldn't help but feel that way.
Yeah.
And now today, I don't feel that way about Japanese people at all. I don't look at Yamaguchi and say, that's your fault. He was, as a matter of fact, he was even on the American side, but anyway, excuse me, I'm sorry.
That was a good question.
Yeah.
But after the war, your views were changed a little bit? Because in the war, you're being fed all of this information about the Japanese
Yeah.
and the German. When did that change for you?
Well, gosh, I don't know. I imagine I kept that way. I felt that way for a long time. I really don't know. I went back to college, finished my degree, went into teaching, and I think we didn't. And that was in Illinois still, and we didn't have that many Asians or Japanese there living there, so I didn't have much contact with them. So nothing like being in California, of course.
Especially Davis. Yeah.
When you were finished with your service, were you glad to be done?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh gosh, yes. They wanted us to join the reserve and to stay in the service, But I said, nope. I don't want my name on anything. Forget me. I don't belong here. Yeah, I got discharged at Great Lakes Naval Training Station in Great Lakes, Illinois.
And this was after the atomic bomb was dropped? This was after the bomb was dropped?
Oh yeah, this was way well after that, yeah.
So you stayed in the Navy after the bomb was dropped?
Yeah, for probably about 3 or 4 months, Yeah, I got assigned to another ship, an LST, landing ship tanks. we picked it up here in California, took it down through the Panama Canal and over to Green Cove Springs, Florida for decommissioning.
Exciting.
They took those ships and I don't know what they did with them. They decommissioned them and a lot of them they sank. They took them out in the deep in the ocean and sank them. They'd take everything off of them that was usable and then the rest of it, they'd blow up.
Do you remember where you were when the bombs were dropped, or how you heard about them?
Oh yeah, I was, we were, yes, and we had made a landing on the Philippines. And then we went north with Marines on board in the Pacific Fleet, the entire Pacific Fleet. I mean, that was a big batch of ships, aircraft carriers, battleships, all kinds of ships, and we were going to make we were going to invade Japan. And that's what our job was, to go in and unload these Marines. And we were, at that point, held off out there just off of Japan, out in the ocean. And we received orders, it's hold up. And then it came through the next day that the bomb had been dropped. Now, I didn't see it. I didn't see the devastation or anything else it caused, because it was done somewhere not near where I was. I think I was in Yokohama, Japan, yeah, where we were going to make a landing. Invasion, that's what it was, yeah. And this was going to be the final surge. We were going to beat the hell out of them. But yeah, we were out just off the coast of Japan.
What was your reaction when you heard this news?
Oh. I was happy with it. We didn't know what the bomb was. We didn't know. But we knew that something had happened. And that the Japanese had surrendered.
That's all you needed to know.
They called the war off.
Exactly.
Yeah, they called it off. And sent me home.
And you were glad to be home?
Well, I was glad to be out of the Navy. Yeah, I was glad to be home. And then I had a blind date with this girl. This girl.
Oh, wow.
Yours truly.
Yeah. Well, at least.
That's another story. I had a blind date with her, and I had never seen her before. I had seen her, but I didn't know who she was. And George Reed, my friend, fixed me up with her. We went to a picnic, and I fell in love that night.
Oh, is that girl mad?
And I have
Lovely.
I have never dated another girl since
Oh,
that night.
love at first sight.
I tell you.
I was just smitten.
You were pretty good looking in that uniform, too.
I look a little better then than I do now.
How old were you then?
21. We got married when we were 21, wasn't it?
I don't know.
22, yeah.
Wow.
It's been long.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. How do you think war has changed over the years? Because obviously it's very different now than it was then.
How do you think the war?
Yeah, how, like war in general, how do you think war has changed?
No good. I don't think wars are any good for anything. What book was I was reading about World War I? they fought World War I. None of them knew what the hell they were fighting for. The Germans, the English, the French, the Russians, the guys in the foxholes. What are we doing? What are we doing this for? We're not trying to get more land. We're not trying to. What does war do? It doesn't do anything but kill people. So, but as long as there are two people on this earth, there's going to be war.
Yeah.
It's very true. It's human nature.
Yeah.
How do you think war impacts the individual, like the person?
Oh gosh, I have no idea. I don't know.
How did it impact you in your life?
I don't think I could say that, I don't think it did anything. I grew up, I got older, I'm more mature, but I don't think that, I just felt like it was another 2.5 years gone from my life, experience.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know, I just it didn't do much for me.
How do you think war impacts society overall? Yeah, just not good.
No, I don't think it's, yeah, like I said, wars are ridiculous. Just ridiculous.
If you were back where you were when you enlisted, do you think you would enlist knowing what you know now?
Oh yeah, I would. Because back then, if you didn't go in, you were a 4F-er or somebody. You were Betty's brother had a brother that had a heart murmur or something, and he couldn't get into anything. Any branch of service, they couldn't. He wasn't in, and he felt terrible, didn't he?
Oh, yeah.
He was.
Real rejected.
Yeah.
He was.
Well, and you were in
He would
college.
not be looking.
You were in college, and that's almost time, more than time.
Oh, okay. Do you need to go?
Yeah, before long.
Okay.
Before long. Yeah.
Well, we don't have a whole lot left, but if you have any other stories that you'd like to tell, please recommend it.
Well, maybe I shouldn't tell any of those in front of the girls.
I don't even want to hear him.
Yeah, but the biggest trouble I had was I wasn't 21 years old, and I couldn't go into some bars and order a drink. They'd ask for my identification. They'd say, "Sorry, son, you're too young." On the other hand, I'd go into another bar. I was in Kansas City, and we went into a bar in a Navy uniform on, and businessmen there who were not in the war felt guilty, I guess, and they just showered us with drinks. That was the better part. But
Did most of the people you know, or most of the men that you were serving with, were they about the same age or older?
Oh, yeah,
men?
yeah.
Okay. So.
yeah, pretty much so. Except the full-time Navy people that had been in the Navy, and they were older. But, like John bless us, the same age as I was. All of us were about, just out of high school.
Yeah, everyone went.
Oh, out of high school, geez, you guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2 years.
Yeah. It's hard to think about nowadays.
Yeah,
Going right out of high school.
yeah. Well, what do you want to use this information for? Are you making a report or something?
Yes, this is a school project, but we're also going to be editing this video and then turning it into the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C., because they have a whole archive of veteran interviews. and they're trying to gather as many as possible as these people are getting older. And of course, there's not a lot of World War II veterans left, so they're trying to gather these stories to be documented for the entire nation
Oh,
as quickly as possible.
cool.
So this is going to the archives in Washington D.C. So if you're ever there, you can look yourself up.
Well, I've been there.
That's neat.
We went there
Uh-huh.
in Washington D.C., but no, we will not be going there.
Well, at least we'll know.
We can't even go downtown Davis
Do you
anymore.
want to do the introduction? Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah, so this is going to be in Washington D.C. So anybody writing a report can look you up and research based on your interview and get information.
Oh,
So it's a
okay.
really cool project.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
it
sounds
is.
great.
That's,
That
I'm
sounds
glad to
great.
see,
Yeah.
here's that's going on because
Yeah, it's harder to hear these stories.
I bet it is.
And perhaps your grandchildren, Rush,
Yeah,
and your
they'll be-
great
They'll
grandchildren.
be able to go to Washington D.C. and look up their
The
grandfather.
great grandchildren, yeah.
Yeah,
grandchildren.
they're great.
The grandchildren are all too old. Strangely enough, yeah. They're all in their upper 20s and 30s.
Are they really?
Yeah.
The two little boys, though, that come running through here with lots of energy.
Oh. Well,
No, that would be,
that's our great grandchildren.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, one of our granddaughters in L.A.
Oh,
had 2 children. Yeah, they were here not too long ago, yeah.
yeah,
yeah, I saw the beautiful
Yeah.
children.
Spike.
Rush,
they did.
Rush lived near me.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Small world.
I know. We just did that when we met.
That's so funny.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for your time. This is
Oh,
perfect.
Well, thank you for coming to
You're
see us.
very welcome.